Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So, today we are going to talk about policy, party, and candidate. Which is most important, and whether or not people actually know the policies of their candidate. And we're going to do this because I got a message. In a number of videos, you've kind of come off like you don't believe most Americans have a good understanding of policy or their candidates' policies. You said that people who know policy really don't support Trump. Now you say that Republicans will suffer if their policy is known. Just wondering what crystal ball you're getting this information from. Well, obviously that one over my shoulder. No. Where am I getting the information from? Every survey ever that has asked about policies without aligning them to a candidate. All of them tell me that. One just came out. I will put it down below, but we'll go over something that should make it very clear, very quickly, why I kind of come off the way I believe. Okay, so they asked about 28 policies of Biden and 28 policies of Trump. And they asked people, do you approve of this or do you disapprove of this? It's real simple. But they didn't tell them whose policies were whose. Let's start with Trump. How many of his policies do you think rated at 80% or better? None. In the 70s? None. In the 60s? None. In the 50s? 50% approval rating? 50 to 59%? 6. Finally gets some. It's worth noting that his policies are opposed by more than 50% of people 9 times. His policies are opposed by a majority of people 9 times. They're only approved by 50% or better 6 times. You could stop there, but let's keep going to illustrate the point. Approval rating in the 40s, 7. Approval rating in the 30s, 10. In the 20s, 4. 10 to 19%, 1. Let's go to Biden. Approval rating of 80% or better, 1. In the 70s, 0. In the 60s, 13. In the 50s, 10. He does not have a single policy that is opposed by a majority of people. Not one. Policies that are in the 40s, approval rating in the 40s, 3. In the 30s, 1. 20s, 0. 10s, 0. When people are asked about policy rather than party, the outcomes are always different. The only logical conclusion is to assume that people don't actually know the policies that their candidate supports. This is every one I have ever seen. This one came out within the last week. But this is all of them. They all look like this. Republican policies, when people are asked specifically about the policies, they're opposed more than they're supported. It's just the way it is. I'll put this down below. You can take a look for yourself. But again, this is representative of everyone I've ever seen. It just, Republican policies are just not popular. When you're actually talking about real policy, not some silly talking point that they feed to those people who are easily manipulated. And when you get to Biden's, it's worth noting that, like the 30% one, the one that he has in the 30% range, that's about the 10-year deal to help Ukraine. If I was asked whether or not I support that policy, I would say no, because it's not a treaty. Not because I think the policy is bad in and of itself, but that it doesn't go far enough. And I would be willing to bet just about anything. That's why that one's in the 30s. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.